Okay, let's dive right into this explainer. We're talking about an absolutely epic story today. Imagine a victorious king finally finishing a massive, dangerous mission and heading back home. For 33 years, Jesus lived here on earth, carrying out this incredible rescue plan he and his father put together to save humanity. He faced mockery, went through the cross, and you know what? He completely conquered it all. So now, in his glorified physical human body, it was finally time for him to leave Earth and go back to his Father's throne.
So think about this for a second. What actually happens when a victorious king returns home from a huge battle? You kind of have to ask yourself this to really picture the massive, joyful celebration that was waiting for Jesus. I mean, in ancient times, when a king won a war and saved his people, his arrival back at the royal city wasn't just some quiet sneak-in-the-back-door event. No way! It was a massive parade filled with shouting and loud music. And Jesus? He was the ultimate conqueror. He had literally just defeated death itself. But before he could get to that giant heavenly welcome party, he had to say one last goodbye to his closest friends.
Let's trace this final earthly walk. Jesus and his 11 disciples left the gates of Jerusalem and headed up toward the Mount of Olives. This mountain was incredibly special to them. As they walked, they actually passed the Garden of Gethsemane, which must have brought back some pretty heavy memories of the night he prayed and wept there. But as they walked, Jesus just talked with them, reminding them of the lessons he had taught. Finally, they reached the summit near Bethany, and it's said that beams of light actually seemed to radiate from his face as he looked at his friends with just the deepest love. Right before he left, Jesus gave his friends this incredibly powerful, comforting promise. Now remember, these disciples had let them down before, right? But he didn't scold them, not at all. Instead, with his hands stretched out to bless them, he told them, "I am with you always, even unto the end of the world." He really wanted them to know that even though he was leaving for heaven, where millions of sinless beings completely adored him, his heart and his friendship would always be right there with them on earth.
And then, with his hands still outstretched in blessing, Jesus slowly began to rise. He literally floated right up from among them. He went up in his actual, physical, human body, drawn up by a power way stronger than gravity. You can imagine the disciples, right? Just staring upward in absolute awe, trying to catch every last glimpse of their king. As he went higher, a brilliant cloud of glory surrounded him. And right at that moment, this magnificent cloudy chariot made entirely of shining heavenly men received him, while the absolute sweetest, most joyous music floated all the way down to the mountain.
Now here is something really amazing. It's about the incredible kindness of two heavenly men who actually chose to stay behind. See, all of heaven had been waiting with massive excitement for Jesus to come back. Every single one of them wanted to be at that welcome party. But two of the highest-ranking men, the very same ones who had been at his tomb when he resurrected, well, they saw the disciples just standing there gazing up into the empty sky. And because they had so much sympathy and love for Jesus' friends, these two men decided to hold off on going to the party just a little bit longer, simply to comfort them.
Suddenly, the disciples heard voices that sounded like rich music. They turned around and saw these two heavenly men standing right there. And these men brought a thrilling promise. They basically told the disciples, hey, you don't need to stand here staring into the sky, because this very same Jesus, the one you just ate with and walked with and loved, he is going to come back exactly the same way you saw him leave. He left in the clouds, and one day he's going to return in the clouds with incredible glory.
And wow, that promise completely changed everything for them. When the disciples finally hiked back down the mountain and walked into Jerusalem, everyone was in for a shock. The enemies of Jesus fully expected them to be sad, defeated, and totally ashamed because their leader was gone. But instead, their faces were absolutely glowing. They weren't sad at all. They were completely filled with gladness and triumph, just excitedly telling anyone who would listen the wonderful story that Christ had resurrected and gone to heaven. So, why were they so happy? Well, because they finally got it. They had zero fear about the future now. Why? Because they knew that Jesus, their absolute best friend, was up in heaven. They literally had a friend sitting at the throne of God. They realized they could now pray to the Father in Jesus' name, and that Jesus' love was still fully with them. They were safe, and they knew for sure that their future was completely secure. All right, so let's shift our explainer from those joyful scenes down in Jerusalem to the absolutely epic journey happening way up in the sky. Jesus is on his way to the city of God, and let me tell you, the entire universe is preparing to roll out the red carpet like never before. As Jesus led the way through the stars, he wasn't just traveling with those escorting heavenly men. He brought something very, very special with him. Remember when we talked about what a victorious king brings back from battle? Jesus brought living trophies of his victory. This was a massive multitude of people that he had actually rescued from the grave when he resurrected. He freed these captives from death, and now they were following him all the way to heaven as living, breathing proof that his rescue mission really worked.
As this incredible, joyful procession got close to the glittering city of God, the heavenly men acting as Jesus' escort shouted out this booming challenge to the sentinels at the city doors. "Lift up your heads, O ye gates, and be ye lift up, ye everlasting doors, and the King of glory shall come in." And the guards at the gate shouted back, "Who is this King of glory?" Now, obviously, they didn't ask this because they didn't know who he was. They asked because they just wanted to hear the awesome answer shouted out loud.
And the escorting men absolutely delivered. Their voices rang enthusiastically through space. "The Lord strong and mighty, the Lord mighty in battle. He is the King of glory." And with that mighty shout, the giant portals of the city of God were opened wide. The entire throng swept right through the gates, completely surrounded by a massive burst of the most joyful, beautiful music you could ever possibly imagine. And waiting inside? Oh man, it was the most mind-blowing crowd in the history of the universe. All around the throne of God with its beautiful rainbow, everyone was gathered. The mighty cherubim and seraphim, the top commanders of the heavenly hosts, even representatives from other worlds that had never even known sin, they were all there in this massive council. They were literally bursting with eagerness to throw the biggest celebration ever and crown him with glory. But right as the celebration is about to peak, Jesus actually hits pause. He steps forward and gently waves the massive crowd back. He simply says, "Not yet." He can't accept the royal robe and the crown of glory just yet. You see, there is one final, incredibly important thing he has to do before this party can truly begin. Jesus walks directly into the presence of his Father. He points to the scars on his wounded head, his pierced side, and his feet. He lifts up his hands to show the print of the nails. These are the physical tokens of his triumph. Then he presents the rescued captives, those living trophies, to God. Long before the world was even created, Jesus and his Father had made a solemn promise to save humanity if we ever fell into sin. Now, Jesus is presenting the ultimate proof that he kept that promise. Standing there before God, Jesus gives his ultimate report. He says, "Father, it is finished. I have done thy will, O my God." He is officially confirming that the great battle against Satan is over and he has won. He asks that because his rescue mission is complete, all the people on earth who trust in him can one day be with him in heaven too. The whole universe basically holds its breath, and then the voice of God himself rings out, proclaiming that justice is fully satisfied. Satan is defeated. Every struggling, trusting person on earth is officially accepted. In this incredibly beautiful, heartwarming moment, the Father's arms encircle his Son in a massive embrace. The mission is a total success. And then God gives the command, "Let all the angels of God worship him." At that exact moment, heaven absolutely explodes with joy. All the rulers, powers, and massive hosts bow down before him. A glad, roaring shout fills every single corner of heaven. Worthy is the Lamb that was slain to receive power and riches and wisdom and strength and honor and glory and blessing. The incredible songs of triumph mix with the music of harps until heaven literally overflows with praise. Love conquered. The lost are found. So, as we wrap up this explainer, we have to bring this epic scene right back down to earth. To you and me. The family of heaven and the family of earth are now one. Jesus ascended for us, and he lives right now for us. Since Jesus ascended as a victorious king, what does his amazing victory actually mean for your life today? Well, it means you have a best friend sitting right next to God, fighting for you every single day. So, how does knowing you have a victorious king looking out for you change the way you face your challenges tomorrow? Keep that in mind and never forget the king who went to heaven just to leave the door open for you.